Chuck Schaden has been in charge of our memories, of our nostalgia, for more than 23 years. And I'm wondering what kind of memories a memory keeper has. That's true, isn't it, Chuck? 23 years you've been keeping nostalgia for us.
Well, I've been sharing it for 23 years.
That's
anyway,
right.
You know, and that's the beauty of it. As you know, I love the great radio shows, and that's what I've been able to do. It's a rare bird that can take a hobby and develop it into a vocation, take an avocation, make it a vocation.
And give so much happiness to so many people as you do it. No wonder you were inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame at the Museum of Broadcast.
Yeah,
what a wonderful evening that must have been. There were greats there. Let's talk about it for a minute.
Well, Norman Corwin was also inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame that night. But he had taken ill. He's in his well into his 80s, and he had taken ill and was not able to be there. He called the day before and said he was all upset not being able to make it. But Willard Waterman, who appeared on radio as the Great Gildersleeve, was there, and he accepted the award for Norman Corwin.
That's right.
And it was a wonderful evening. And Wally Phillips was inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame that night too. So it's a prestigious group, and I'm not sure. I said it before. I'm not sure that I deserve to be part of that. I've spent my whole career honoring all the people who are in the Radio Hall of Fame. I mean, Jack Benny is there, Fibber McGee and Molly are there. Little Orphan Annie is there.
No one deserves to be there as you do.
Well,
That's
I'm just
true,
glad to be part of all of this
But
stuff,
that night,
you know.
Larry King, all kinds of big names.
Rush Limbaugh was there, Sally, Jesse Raphael were there. They had a little brouhaha going.
Brouhaha.
Well, you know, there was just some little competition going on there for that. But anyway, it was a marvelous evening, and I left there on cloud 9, and that was early in November, and I have come down to earth now. I'm on cloud 8.
Well, we're glad that we found you here. Cloud 8, Cloud 9, you deserve to be on Cloud 9 all the time. But let's talk a little bit about you, because the object of this whole visit is Christmas, Christmas memories, and of course you have so many and you share so many with people. But what are the memories of the keeper of the memories?
Well, I'm a Christmas person. I mean, our house is decorated to the nth degree, and we've got lots of Christmas collectibles and lots of nostalgia. And when I was a kid, one of my uncles would always play Santa Claus, and I remember trying to I mean, there's a point in your life when you're a little kid is you're not sure. You think there's a Santa, but you're not sure, and the other kids are saying there's no Santa. And the clues said that somebody was playing Santa, see, and because Santa had a ring like an uncle of mine, Santa had a wristwatch like another uncle of mine, you know. And but I guess you realize that the Santa that comes to your home on Christmas Eve, in person, I mean, is a symbol of the great idea of Christmas and Santa Claus. But I remember those things, and I always liked that idea. And in fact, as a teenager, after I finally discovered that there was no Santa Claus, at least to be seen visually at our home, I donned a Santa Claus suit and would go out, and I played Santa for kids in the neighborhood. You know, can you imagine? I just simply put on the Santa Claus suit on Christmas Eve and went up and down the block with a mask on and the beard and the suit and all of this stuff, and I knocked on the doors where there were homes where there were little kids, and they'd open the door and I'd knock and I'd say, ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
They'd say, come in.
And they would. And I would go in, and they had no idea who it was. I mean, it's a guy in a Santa Claus suit. And I came in, and I shook hands with the little kids, and you be good, go sure to go to bed and all this stuff. And can you imagine today an unexpected Santa Claus knocking on the door?
Yeah.
I mean, those were great days. I mean, we were all more trusting, and I guess we could all be trusted more in those days.
Yeah.
But I had my favorite Christmas present of all time was a printing press. It was a small little desktop, tabletop printing press, you know, with the disc on the top and the roller on here. You put the ink on the thing, and there was little type and all of that stuff. Now, I must have been 9 years old or something like that when I got the printing press. And of course I have a background in journalism and publishing and writing and all of that, so it was
probably
perfect.
The beginning
That's
of
right.
it all. I don't know, one of my favorite toys I always remember was a bow and arrow, and it was just a cardboard cutout. Maybe you remember these. It would be like a tiger with the circles drawn in it, and then you'd have a bow and the arrow, and they'd have suction cups on the end. I mean, pretty simple by today's fare when we think
Well, we were all in a simpler time, and I think sometimes we miss the lack of sophistication that we had from those days. I mean, I think the kids today miss some of that, you know.
Well, of course, the radio was a very big part of growing up, and especially at Christmas time because of one program in particular.
Well, I remember the Cinnamon Bear, and I've been playing the Cinnamon Bear over so many years that I've been on the air. And I can remember listening on the floor in our living room, under the tree, with all the lights on it, and the tinsel and everything, and the Zenith console radio nearby, and I'm sprawled on the floor, listening to these cliff-hanging episodes of the Cinnamon Bear. They were searching for the silver star for the top of the Christmas tree. Patio Cinnamon, Judy and Jimmy Barton.
That's right.
And of course, it was 26 episodes, although we didn't know it was 26 episodes. We just thought it appeared and it was going to go on, and if they didn't find this silver star, we couldn't have a Christmas. But Weebolt's, the longtime sponsor of the Cinnamon Bear, had a toyteria in their department stores.
I'd forgotten that term.
Sure,
That's right, toyteria.
And they invited you to come down and get a Cinnamon Bear coloring book, and of course they have a coloring contest and all of that sort of thing. And also, they said, come down and get the silver star. And they gave away a silver star to thousands and thousands of kids who would go to the toyteria, visit and talk to Santa Claus, and of course bring your parents with, and they got the silver star. And I brought that silver star with me, Pat.
So this is your favorite ornament.
This is the silver star that Weebolt's used to give when you visited the toyteria. Now this particular silver star that I'm holding here was found years after the Cinnamon Bear was off the air, and Weebolt's had stopped sponsoring the program, and in fact I think after Weebolt's had closed its doors forever, a woman who worked for Weebolt's, when she left their employ, and long after they were through giving these stars away, found a big shoebox with these little aluminum type silver stars in them. You know, must have been hundreds of them in there.
She didn't throw them away.
She took them up to her retirement home in Wisconsin someplace, stuck them in the attic, forgot about them. She passed away, and a grandson or a grandnephew or something found some of these a number of years ago and didn't really know what they were until he heard me talking about them on the air one day, reminiscing fondly about the silver star. And he said, he came in to our store, Metro Golden Memories, and said, I have some of these stars. Would you want to buy them? He wanted to sell them. He wanted to buy them. Well, we saw these, and he sold us about a dozen of these silver stars.
Oh,
it was absolutely incredible.
Now, so if any viewer is at home and they have one of these, this one is in mint condition. It would be valued at.
There is a book that publishes the values today of premiums, radio premiums, things related to the radio, and this silver star is listed in there. It was given away free at Weebolt's.
Right.
Listed for $100 today in 1993.
Wow. So if anybody's hanging one of these on their tree, they should know that.
That's right.
Of course, it has to be mint.
It has to be mint condition. Now, I have another silver star here that's not in mint condition, but this silver star has been on my tree for ages. I'm not going to tell you how long, but it's been on there for ages.
Was this your original?
This is a little beat up one, see? I mean, it's had wear and tear. It wasn't in a shoebox like this one. Now, you want to know what this one is worth?
What's this one worth?
This is priceless.
I knew you were going to say that. This is
priceless because it came with me, you know, back in those days. And you can see the hook. I actually took this off our Christmas tree to bring it down here today to talk about the silver star.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
It's a wonderful memory of
you realize, don't you, Chuck, that for people who have grown up in an age where they don't know about radio and the thrill of radio, that to them this is still just a piece of foil.
Yeah, sure.
But for anybody who knew or enjoyed any of that period of time, this is, Priceless.
Well, it absolutely is.
A treasure.
Now, the Cinnamon Bear gave away the Silver Star. Not necessarily Christmas-type things, but Orphan Annie gave away shake-up mugs, and Captain Midnight gave away secret decoders, and Jack Armstrong had whistling sheriff's badges and things like that. Yeah. We had telescopes that you could use. If you weren't underwater, you could peer around the corner of a building to see the telescope. I mean, to see someone on the
Do you have the Cinnamon Bear now going on WBBM?
It's just finished. It's just finished. We played it all 26 episodes this year on WBBM, and
so
it's another exciting. And they found the star finally at the end. I shouldn't give that away. They found it at the end.
Every year they find it at the end,
That's
right? No cliffhanger there.
Yeah.
So next year, if we want to, we've got to. It doesn't end up just immediately before Christmas.
No, it
How do
usually
you
starts
decide?
about the middle of November and runs. So it's 26 episodes, so it runs for about 5 weeks. And if there's anybody who can't, I don't want to make a commercial out of this, but if there's anyone who can't wait, we sell tapes of the Cinnamon Bear at Metro Golden Memories.
So that they can share
They
it.
can buy the tapes and they can listen to the tapes
And play
anytime.
with
And
it.
lots of people listen to those tapes in the car on a summer motor trip. Even, I mean, it's a
sure.
Christmas story, but it's a cliffhanger, and the kids in the back seat are quiet as they're listening.
Radio, what's happened to it? And it only comes back when you bring it back, some of the good old radio, which you do. I think you just came over from taping something right now.
That's right, yeah.
And that was...
I was at WBBM on our old-time radio classics. Yeah, I was recording some. Christmas Day and New Year's Day are on, well, they're Saturday and Sunday this year, and I have a show on Saturday and Sunday, but I thought I would pre-record so that I could spend a little time with our family on that day.
And what did you put up for our listening pleasure on Christmas?
Well, on Christmas Eve at midnight we'll be on, and we've got the First Nighter program. And the story is called The Little Town of Bethlehem. It's the story of Mary and Joseph and going into Bethlehem, and the nativity story. And it's a wonderful, warm story. We've got that on Christmas Eve at midnight. And then Christmas night at 8 o'clock, we have a 2-hour show. And on that program, we're going to be playing Dragnet. It's the classic Dragnet Christmas story of the infant statue of the infant Jesus being missing, stolen from the church, you know. So we have that and some other things going. So all seasonal stuff. And in the week between Christmas and New Year's, there's lots of New Year's programs going on.
It isn't just for older people who really remember these either, is it? Young people are getting very interested in the old radio shows.
Absolutely. And it's been a great joy to find that out, Pat. A lot of people who never heard this before have discovered it. I mean, we're kind of visible with all of this stuff. And they have tuned it in either accidentally or they've gotten it through osmosis because their parents are listening or something, and they say, gee, this is different, this is something special. I get a chance to make my own pictures because you use your imagination. And we're talking about kids who are 6 and 7 and 8 years old, and we're talking about teenagers and people in their 20s and in the 30s. I mean, most people think, the general perception is that this has got to be for people who are 70 years old because it's such old stuff. But that's absolutely not true. We have a lot of people who are all ages, and we find people being brought together through this stuff.
The magic of radio.
Every month at the Museum of Broadcast Communications, we have a recreation of some old radio shows with actors reading scripts and doing sound effects and doing all of this stuff. And these are people who have been listeners of mine. They're non-professionals. It's like community theater, if you will.
Right.
And these folks go out into the neighborhoods and they perform these radio scripts, script in hand. Somebody's Jack Benny, somebody's Mary Livingston, somebody's Rochester, or they're doing Suspense or Lights Out or the Bickersons or whatever.
Oh, what fun.
And on the second Sunday of every month at 2 o'clock at the Museum of Broadcast Communications downtown in the Cultural Center, you can come in and see a recreation of an old-time radio show. And the point I'm getting at with this is that we have teenagers in the acting group, and we have retired people, and everybody in between. We have finally found something to really bridge that age gap, because you have, we had a young man who was in grammar school playing Leroy, the nephew of the great Gildersleeve.
Oh gosh, I remember.
And he played that opposite Willard Waterman, who came in town to be part of one of our recreations.
Which would be thrilling. Sound effects too?
Use sound effects, yeah.
You know, that always intrigued me. I'm not sure if the museum has some of the old sound effects that they used to have.
There's none on display at the museum, but we do have some that we use occasionally for demonstration. And that's why they're not on display, because we take them out. We have a wind machine, and we have a thing that makes gunshots and all kinds of things, you know, fire.
Christmas is so different now. You alluded to it when you were talking about the role you played as Santa, you know, and how you couldn't do that anymore. Do you think the Santas have changed a little too?
No, I don't think the Santas have changed too much. I think they're younger. If you go to a department store and you see Santa Claus, you've got a younger person in there playing Santa. You've got a college student or a high school student, and there's not a lot of pretense made that he's not Santa. But when I was a kid, when you were a kid, we go to the department store, Santa. This was a man who could be Santa, right? He was an older man, and he had a kind of a warmth to it. But
and a pouch.
Yeah, right.
And a twinkle.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
right.
rosy cheeks. Yeah, and he looked very, very real.
Right.
Very.
But Santa, I said that I found out there wasn't a Santa, but I didn't say I didn't believe in Santa Claus. I believe in Santa Claus. Like the little girl in Miracle on 34th Street. I believe, I believe, I believe.
What's Christmas going to be like at your house this year?
Well, we have, on Christmas Eve, we're going to a family get-together that started 55 years ago. And that's a heck of a party going on for 55 years. But when my folks were the first in our family to get a home, to buy a house, my mother's brothers and sisters were either in apartments or not married yet, and they all gravitated to my folks' home on
Strong
Christmas Eve.
traditions
That's
here,
right.
huh?
And that event has been taking place every year for 55 years now. It's not at my mother's house anymore. She's gone, and that house is no longer. The house is there, but nobody's in it that we know. But it's still in the family, and I can't imagine Christmas Eve without the family. And on Christmas Day, then we gather our family together for brunch, and we open the packages, and I've got 2 granddaughters, and they're running around like mad and excited about that. And that's so much fun.
Do you have time for it? Because here you have your own business too, Metro Golden Memories. You spend a lot of time at the museum, and you're very involved there. This is an act of love, but it takes a lot of your time. And then there's your business as well. How do you find time for Christmas yourself? Have you got your shopping done?
Yeah, I've got my shopping done. I have one last thing to get, and then I'm all through with that. And
I'm impressed.
Christmas is first. Christmas is first. You got to do, I would like it best of all if I didn't have all of these other things to do, so that I could just enjoy the countdown to Christmas a little more. Just kind of push everything aside and say, hey, I'm going to just sit and enjoy and watch the Christmas shows on TV and listen to the radio Christmas. I listen to those mostly the radio because I'm broadcasting and things of that nature. But I would like to have a little gentler towards Christmas, but doesn't deter me from enjoying it. And my wife enjoys it, and we've always been big Christmas people. I think you are too, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I love Christmas and everything that goes with it. I was lucky. I always had nice Christmases with family at home growing up, so it makes it easy to create the same kind of environment for your own family as you go along. If anybody's looking, though, and I don't want to make this a commercial either, but if anybody's looking for the unusual, you might have it, because at Metro Golden Memories, you do have, from the Maltese Falcon down to the most minuscule thing that a person might be looking for that has to do with film or any of that radio genre, anything like that. And where are you located?
Metro Golden Memories at 5425 West Addison Street in Chicago. That's just a couple of blocks east of Central.
Okay. How long have you been there?
Oh, gosh. Well, we're in business for about 17 years now, so we've been at that location maybe 8 or 9 years.
Isn't that something? I'm going to give a phone number for it, too, because in case there's something that you think you just can't live without, he may have it. That's the thing. And I just want to give it to you very quickly. It is 312-736 4133. That's a neat last-minute ditch in case you're still baffled,
Our store has, there's nothing you need at our store. but lots of stuff you want.
That's great. Thanks so much
Oh,
for
Pat, a pleasure.
keeping nostalgia for us
Thank you very
alive.
much.
And
And
thanks
Merry
for sharing
Christmas.
Christmas. Same to you.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed today's show, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you. Bye-bye.